You're listening to Cain, Randy, and Brooke on Scratch the Vinyl.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Scratch the Vinyl. You made it back for another week, and we are so glad that you did. We're picking up steam, everybody. We're like the steam engine that never quits. We're pumping away. We're partying all night long, and we have an awesome guest on our hands. Can you believe it? Another great guest. But first, let's bring on our other host. We've got Randy, Mr. Chill Wilson, the Godzilla of entertainment in this town and many other towns that we can't even speak of. The party's been so great. Randy, how are you?
Doing great, Cain, and great to see everybody this morning, and welcome back to Scratch the Vinyl.
Randy, how's karaoke been out there, man? Be the man on the streets and tell us what the shows have been like lately.
Man, it's been crazy. The crowds have been great. The following's been great. I of course, because I always like everybody to get to do some new music. Been doing these crazy kamikaze nights and getting the crowd to pick songs for everybody, and we really got into it the other night. It was just fun as can be, and it's amazing the songs they pick for me to do because I'm so terrible, but but it was a lot of fun. I get everybody up singing, and then for you, Cain, the other night we did a little Smashing Pumpkins mini concert for our favorite bartender down at Kelly's and Brooke's sister Ingrid. We all took turns doing our favorite Smashing Pumpkins songs, and a big shout out to all my karaoke people that helped make that happen. That was a lot of fun.
This never happens for me. Well, like when I go to karaoke, it seems like oh, here comes Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow creeping back in and that sort of thing. So you get all the cool shows.
Well, it gets monotony here in the Before He Cheats and every sad country song, and so I'm glad we got to channel our inner Billy Corrigan for a night or two. So
I think you guys are doing God's work with that, my friend. I mean, it's always good when you promote Smashing Pumpkins and feed that Billy Corrigan machine a little bit more.
I definitely should have went live and brought you in on the whole deal, and I apologize for that, but I think it was a little too late for you. It was a little later at night, so.
Oh yeah, I was in dreamland. I was playing in the band in my mind at that time. So let's bring on our other host. She's the witchy woman. She's got the red lips. I'm not sure if she's a witch or not, but I keep calling her that, and she's probably disgusted by it. But she's bewitched our hearts, everybody. It's Brooke Johnson. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Hi, guys. Hey, so you always bring up my birthday because somehow, some way, it always it's on the same day as one of our interviews. How was your birthday, Cain? You had one. I know your family got you something really cool. It was a little early birthday present, though, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Speaking of, thank you, Brooke. Yeah. But speaking of the pumpkins, my wife and kids got me the Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness box set. See, I'm so excited I can't even spit it out. So I was pretty pumped about that because that's one of those that if I buy it, my wife's probably going to bash me over the head for paying so much for it. So I can't believe she actually got it for me.
I think that's amazing. And I love the tribute that you did for him as well. Ingrid had a great time. We'll have to do a Pearl Jam one for her later while she wears her kitty t-shirt.
Maybe a La Perm shirt soon, right? We all want La Perm shirts.
Yep. And we went, maybe you get the costumes with the tail. I mean, I do it. Randy and Cain, you're up for it. I know you are.
I saw somebody last night wearing a La Perm concert shirt, so.
Hell yeah.
I want one, man. I've seen a few of them online, and I definitely want one. It seems like that particular episode is flying off the charts right now. Like, there's a lot of people listening. So a big shout out to Levi for being on the show. But let's get our next guest on right now. Our current guest is a guy who's at KZUM. He's promoting something that I love, which is metal all the time. He's a model American. He's an amazing person. He let me be on the show and co-host with him, which was completely honestly, it was another bucket list moment for me, like an early birthday present from me. So let's bring him on right now from the Metal Manifesto show on KZUM. We have Jon Kruse. Jon, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How's everybody today?
That good, huh?
Hold on, let me unmute. I have to unmute.
Why don't I just
We're doing
normally
great.
when it's like this and I'm on my show, I will say something like, "What's up, metalheads?"
And don't forget, wake up!
Yeah. And if you don't wake up, what do? I throw stuff at you. So
Can I be on your show? That sounds like a lot of fun.
We woke the dogs up. The dogs are upstairs. They're flipping out.
So.
So we had a lot of memorable moments when I went in there. You know, not only was Jon so gracious to let me play basically my entire EP that's coming out, the Trust Fall EP, which is coming out here April 25th, but we got to talk about my music, but we got to promote Scratch the Vinyl on Real Radio, which always feels fantastic to me because, Brooke, you're the only one that's really experienced being on Real Radio. So for me, as strange as it is, Jon, you probably laugh because you're there all the time, but it's like something I've always wanted to do. Like I love the art form of radio. I always have. This is why I podcast. And so I'm very, you're like a hero of mine. Like I'm an actual listener of your show, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And Jon, Jon is much more than a metalhead. He might not want to talk about it or tell you guys, but he is a connoisseur of everything out there. And as I was talking to him, he's perfect for this show. So let's dive into it right now, Jon. I mean, what got you into music? I mean, let's start with the hard questions right off the bat. What did music do for you when you were younger, and how did it shape you to become the person that you are now?
Well, funny, when I was just six months old, believe it or not, my mom had two of her cousins living with us, and they would listen to Three Dog Night Harmony every night, and I would not go to sleep until they played that. And when they moved out to go back to live wherever they were living, they left the record with me. And so until I was in third grade, all I listened to was Three Dog Night all the time. I took my building blocks, I spelled out the label and everything else. I was just super obsessed with Three Dog Night. And then somebody at school told me that I really needed to listen to Kiss. It's probably when it started to escalate into where I am now.
Everyone has that moment, right? All
Good or
people have that
bad.
moment,
So yeah.
Here.
And I think the biggest thing with Kiss for me is it's still that way now, but not so much. I think they've come around full circle. But in the 70s and early 80s, all I ever heard was Kiss sucks. And they got a few hits on the radio, but they were not everybody's favorite. Everybody knew who they were, but oh, why would you listen to that way? It was something that wasn't accepted by the mainstream. And I think that really helped work my way towards the stuff that I listen to now, where I dig deeper. I look at stuff that's not Billboard charts don't mean anything to me. If it gets played on commercial radio, it probably doesn't. And as we talked about, I ignored a lot of that stuff in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. I ignored the stuff they were playing on commercial radio because there was so much going on in the underground. And then I got a chance to hear what was going on in our own community. And so I like stuff that's on the radio. It just gets overplayed, and there's so much more stuff out there. And that's part of the reason when you said that you always wanted to have your own radio show, that's the same with me. I always wanted to be able to go on the radio and play stuff for people they would not be able to hear, to show them what other stuff's out there that they didn't have to just accept what commercial radio was throwing at them all the time.
Well, Jon, of course, yeah, about the only song they ever played for Kiss on the radio was Beth, only because it was a,
Yeah, it's the only
slow ballad.
Yeah.
No, we totally get that. I mean, we talk about that all the time about what it was like to, go buy albums and actually go through whole albums and find hidden gems. And obviously, did you experience a lot of that? Did you buy a lot of vinyl? Did you find your music that way?
Back in the early days, yeah, I got Kiss Alive 2 was my first record, and I sat in front of the turntable and opened up the gatefold, saw the big picture of them on stage, and then there's a booklet, a tour booklet thing they had that had pictures of the band, and I would just turn that cover back and forth over and over while I listened to the record, and then as I got the next Kiss record, I did the same thing, and then with Kiss especially, they've had all these little, even Alice Cooper back in the day all sorts of little inserts and things like that, that now if you have that with the record, it makes it more valuable. You know, as a kid, it was all these little nifty little knickknacks and everything. And that's what's missing, I think, now with streaming and everything. It's great because people have more access to music, but they lose that physical format. And I miss just going back, and I've got my turntable still set up. I just never make it downstairs to listen to vinyl. I love that. The pop, the little inconsistencies, the scratches here and there on the record and everything just brings back memories from when I was younger.
Well, that was the niche for Kiss, though, that they had the best live show.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that was the whole thing. So putting out the Alive albums were huge at that time, because experiencing Kiss was really more of a live event thing too. I mean, that's where the real fans came from.
Yeah.
When I was younger, there was a radio station way out west, and all different kinds of music. And they always played the vinyls. There was one lady that would come in and just play vinyls. So you could bring her your vinyl and she'd play it on the radio. I mean, the quality wasn't that great, but it was still pretty cool. It was almost like listening to him live. And I've always wanted to do that, be on the radio station where it was just all vinyls, or like find a tape where you can't really rewind it and fix it. And, but being on the mainstream radio is what I got to do and help out with. I'm going to say something here, and it's going to be kind of funny, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but I really didn't know any of the music that I was putting on because it was so mainstream. And I'm not like a big hit, the top 40s or whatever. I liked the more like, who's this? And let's figure out who these people are. But I commend you for, doing that. And we need more of that. And also being on the radio, we talk about like having a play button, or, with doing a podcast, we have Cain here, the best producer that can edit things. Being a DJ before and like being on the radio, you really have to think on your feet, just like if you were live on a stage playing the guitar, doing something, and you have to, just show goes on, you have to do it quickly. And I really just want to ask you, did you ever need a delay button for your guest, a caller, for yourself, a little bit longer than you needed? Because you're kind of like, here you go. Your life is in my hands, and you say things 'cause it's live. But I just want to know, was there any like something funny or cool that happened, or embarrassing?
A local band was on the show, fairly popular, bigger local band was on the show. And in the middle, and probably in the span of about 20 seconds, they dropped 2 F-bombs and 2 shits. And we have like you said, we have the dump button. So what we're hearing is 30 seconds ahead of what everybody else is hearing on the radio. So if I hit the button, it just takes you live. I heard the first swear word and I hit the dump button, and then they swore again. And I'm like, oh my God. So I turned it into the station, and I almost got written up for it, for being honest, that had gone on over the air. So I went back and listened to the archives, and actually when it brought it back to live, it didn't actually catch that. But there have been times where I did a tribute to Bon Scott for his birthday, I think, and I was playing different stuff. And I played the song, If You Want Blood, You've Got It. And I've listened to that song at least, I don't know, 100 times, if not more. And I forgot that the word shit is in the song. And it took me by so much surprise that I didn't get to the dump button in time. So it just aired. Being on at midnight and later, I think I have a little bit more leniency. But with the station being a nonprofit community station, I don't want to do anything to jeopardize there. But I've been pretty lucky. The bands that come on, the first thing I tell them is no profanity. We go through it. It's the 7 words you can't say on television, the George Carlin bit. Make sure they know what that is. And we share the words that they can't use. And then just say, pretend you're at church, or pretend you're at your grandma's house.
Do you think, though, that it should be maybe not so censored in a sense? I mean, not extravagant, like not saying the F-bomb every 2 minutes, but just letting people be like our podcast. It's okay to cuss here and there. Do you think it should be, especially for the genre, or, since you're like metal, Not that I'm saying more metal people cuss than country people, or, my grandma she cussed like a sailor and she loved Mozart, but just a little bit more candid on the radio. I felt like it should have been.
Well, yeah, the problem is that we're all following the FCC guidelines. So we can be fined up to, personally, I can be fined up to $65,000.
Oh yeah,
If it's
absolutely.
now,
Yeah.
personally, I think, I edit, and I'll tell you, it's really hard sometimes to edit death metal because you can't understand what they're saying anyway. I can say that. I love the music, but you can't understand. So I will still go through, find the lyrics, and edit it using Audacity to reverse the swear word.
You can say fuck here now. Let's say it. Get it out. Let's get it out. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. Totally lost my train of thought. Well, I do a very diligent job of checking and make sure that that everything is good as far as the language and everything. One keynote is that I was told once that if it's in Spanish or another language, you don't have to edit it. So there's a band that does a cover, kind of a spoof cover of the Macarena called Marijuana. Band Brujeria. You have to check it out sometime. Apparently, what they're singing in Spanish is pretty vulgar because one of the hosts of one of the Spanish shows on KZUM listens to my show, and she sent me a message saying, "Do you know what they're saying? Do you know what they're saying?" I said no, and I said it doesn't matter because it's in another language, so we don't get.
Yeah.
But I think I actually remember what my point was now. Sometimes in music, there's profanity for a reason. It's because it's sending a point home. It's driving a point home, and to take that out sometimes takes a little bit of the power behind the theory or behind the song. However, there are a lot of bands that just like to drop the F-bomb in there all the time just to make them. I don't know if they get the impression that it makes it heavier, or they're harder, or they're badder than everybody else. But there's a difference between throwing in an F-bomb because you want to really send home your point versus just saying F this, F that, just to get a laugh out of somebody, or be toilet humor or something to that nature.
Well, even the content, though, like sometimes the content can be pretty iffy. I mean, if you're talking about some pretty crazy, murders and all of,
Yeah.
that's their voice, though. That's what they want to come across. There is a fine line of being obnoxious, though. And that's kind of what your job is to do, right? Is to kind of, filter all of that. Because I think music, you should be able to do that, like art. You're not going to take down, someone's beautiful art if there's a nipple showing, or you paint, it's how they express themselves. And so I just wondered how your outlook on that. I could see interviewing somebody and they're going crazy, but at the same time, their artwork, their music, I don't think that should be censored, in my opinion.
I wholeheartedly agree. I used to do a YouTube channel, which is what kind of sparked me to do a radio show. And, you could say whatever I wanted. However, I didn't have the ability to play some of the songs. So I would actually have artists do a video introducing their track. They would actually send me a video. I'd play the song, and then I'd get an email from somebody on YouTube saying that you're using this against copyright, or it's copyright infringement. So this song is going to be muted, even though the artist that made the music was right beforehand. So it's a catch-22 because at least on the radio, I have the authority to play the songs. I'd rather get the song out there, I guess, in this way. And if I have to cut off and honestly, a lot of the times with a lot of the stuff I play, you can't even tell that I've done the reverse, which I don't know if that speaks very well about the music I listen to or not, but there are some songs that I can edit, and I read the lyrics. Nobody's going to know what they say unless they look them up, and I still think that's probably not appropriate for the radio. And so I'll pick a different song from the same band. While I'm on the air, I will suggest to people, "Hey, check out this song," or post something on about it so that I can still get people to go out and listen to it if they're interested, but I can still honor the band by playing a song from them without having to, just skip over them because of that. So we were playing Typo Negative, and Typo Negative has a song on their first album that is probably my favorite song by the band. And I edited it. And even after editing it, the program director listened and said, "You did a great job. Nice job on the edit, but the theme and the subject matter is too controversial for you to be able to play. It would be better if you didn't."
I think this is a great transition into, letting our listeners know what kind of show you have, and tell us a little bit about your show on KZUM.
Well, so the Metal Manifesto airs every Friday night and Saturday morning from midnight to 3. You can go to the archives and listen to the episodes for another 2 weeks afterwards on the website. I honestly play anything heavy rock, hard rock to black metal. I'll play hits once in a while. I play, it doesn't really matter. I really like to try and strive to play stuff that people haven't heard before. Or if I pick a band, say, good example, Motley Crue, I'm not going to play Girls, Girls, Girls. I probably won't play Dr. Feelgood. It's going to be something off one of the first couple albums, or something deeper cut from another album that didn't get played and people maybe skipped over when they listened to the tape or the CD. And then I also feature local bands, and I'm kind of changing up the way I'm doing things now. I'm kind of mixing everything together. I used to do a lot of themes where songs with this word in the title, and then I would just pick all these songs. Ultimately, I have been collecting music since I got my first Kiss record, and I have a huge collection that just is going to sit downstairs in my basement and collect dust unless I can use it to share music with everybody that wants to listen. So I just try to play stuff that people maybe haven't heard before that I know they would like if they just had a chance to hear it somewhere.
So John, I know you had a guest DJ on your show the other night.
Kind of a pain in the butt, but
I was going to ask you, did you have to kick him out? Because I don't know if I could hate.
Played all this evil satanic music all night long. I was just no. Now, Cain was on the show last weekend. I thought it would be good, since I knew I was going to come to do the interview today, to have him get a really good impression and idea of what it would be like, or what it is like to do the show. I mean, I love doing the show. Midnight to 3 I thought it would be a great time for people, Friday night, Saturday morning, everybody's out partying late or whatever. It'd be a great time for that. But it is a late night and an early morning. And
That's perfect music, though. Perfect music for that. I listened to it when it's like, hey, or I'm up a little late. Let's party. It's perfect. I don't want to listen to Mozart unless I'm sleeping.
Want to sleep, yeah. Well, apparently there's a couple Uber drivers that play my show on in their car to keep people awake and not passing out in their car. And I did have a guy call. He said he was a police officer, and he said that some of the officers listen to the show at night to stay awake. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, but I'm going to take him as face value. So, but Cain did an awesome job. I always, if you're the guest host, you get to pick all the music. I'd pick half, they pick half, but it's more fun if you can come in and you can pick the entire 3-hour set, because especially if it's a musician, it gives everybody an opportunity to see your influences and the music that you like. And it also gives you an opportunity to talk about you and your music, and they get to know you as a person, not just hear your music. Where there are stations that honor local music and play local music, and I think that's awesome, but they don't have the ability to come out and spend 3 hours out. And you would be amazed how many of the local bands, actually maybe not, but a lot of the local bands love to come out to the show. And when they do it, they're like, when can we do it again? When can we do it again? Not just because it's promoting their music on the air, but it's a fun time. They have a great time, and it gives them an opportunity to be on the radio, which they don't get. There's not a lot of states that have this kind of a radio station. There's community radio stations all over the country, but not in every state, and not everybody has that opportunity. And I hear musicians all the time from different areas that'll chat with me on Facebook and say, I wish we had something like this in our state. So we're really lucky that we have something, and a station like KZUM that we have, that we can use for this ability, have the ability to do this. So
I love KZUM. I would always donate, and I still do. It is a great radio station. My children got to be a part of it with Missy B, I think was her name. It was a mother on their football team. It was so cool experience to have them go up on the mic and talk. And but KZUM's been around for a while, and it's one of my favorite stations. And it is so cool that you get to do local music, and but you do but you have to raise money in order for this
Right.
to stay alive. And we need it to stay alive. And I know that you have a fundraiser coming up, and I would love, love, love to hear about that so we can help you out and help KZUM out.
All right. So the fundraiser is going to be 2 nights, Friday, May 16th and Saturday, May 17th at Gray's Keg. There are 2 ways you can get in the door. We have a $10 donation cover each night if you come in. We have different DJs from KZUM that come and volunteer to help and collect the money at the door. Or we have wonderful t-shirts that we have made up every time. And if you purchase the t-shirt with a $20 donation and wear it both nights, that's your ticket in. The t-shirt has great artwork on it. It has, on the back, it has all the bands that we're playing on the benefit, as well as the sponsors. So I get quite a few different local businesses to sponsor. And because I'm old, I'll read off the bands that are playing the benefit, but I have to use my little list here. The Easy A's is a band out of Beatrice, kind of a cover band. The guitarist is one of my sponsors. He owns Justin's Neighborhood Meats in Beatrice. Sunny B has played the last few benefits. Grave Key, Six County, Hather, very first show they're going to play. Evil Shadows, The Hooligan Gentleman, Rico's Pass, Escaping the Eclipse, Siphon, Angels on Fire are coming all the way from Colorado. They are 3/4 of the band Satan's Host. And the singer is also in a band called Jag Panzer. So if you like power metal at all, he's touring with them. So they put together Angels on Fire when they aren't touring with Satan's Host. 13 Minutes is a Christian band from Oklahoma featuring a vocalist that's from I Am the Pendragon from Omaha. Between Monsters and Mercy, and then lastly, Jerry and the Rat Bastards. Jerry was in a band in the mid-90s called Apparition. So lots of cool bands. Every benefit we have, I try to get some new blood in there. So there's probably at least half of those bands that have never played one of the benefits before. So
what a lineup, really. I mean, I was talking to him in the studio. We should definitely, I mean, being that Gray's is a sponsor, I definitely want to make a presence there and talk to some of these bands. But if you guys are listening and you're a part of this show, reach out to us. You know, maybe we can have you on the show before the benefit and we can talk about some of this, or we can talk about it after. But it's always good to get metalheads on the show for us. We've kind of rounded the gambit, so to speak, of different types of bands, but we always love to have metal bands on the show. So can you give us the date, just to reiterate, to drive home to people when exactly that next benefit is?
May 16th and May 17th. It's a Friday and a Saturday night. The doors will open at 6 o'clock. Well, the band will start at 6 o'clock. So if you get there around 5:30 or so, and the last band plays at, I think, 1 o'clock in the morning. So, and if we don't really push too much each band plays about 35 minutes, but if somebody goes over, nobody really has any issues with it. The whole idea is we're having fun. We're there to raise money. So it's just a good time. And we would like to see more folks come out to it. That's been the one thing I've been disappointed with regards to the local scene, is the lack of people showing up to different things. Even when bands have a free show and you don't have to pay a dime, just go in and see them play. People will go see a cover band and not think twice about it, but they won't see somebody that'll play their own music. And there's nothing against cover bands. I think those are great too. And I've had a couple cover bands that have been on my benefits before, but it's really neat to see somebody take their own thoughts, their own ideas, and put them to music and get up on stage in front of people. And it takes way more to get up in front of 2 people, I think. And every time I get discouraged about the show and thinking, nobody's listening to my radio show at 12:30 at night. I'm playing to nobody. I'll continue to do that as long as these bands are going to get up on stage and play for 5 people and play like there's 5,000 people. It's just incredible. A couple of local bands have gotten up on stage. There have been like one person down front, and there have been people sitting at the bar, and they'll be like, come on down, come on down. The people at the bar that aren't even there for the benefit will come down and get down by the stage. And so there are a lot of great bands in the local community that do everything they can to get everybody involved and everybody motivated. And it's really kind of there's a connective force that I see growing that I didn't see when I first started doing this. So I think that's a positive.
Well, and every ear counts. Everybody that listens, it counts, whether it's one person or 1,000. You could touch that, whatever music or whatever you do. And the thing is some people, they can't go out. Maybe I am nursing my child. I'm not, but if I was, I couldn't bring him to the show, and I wanted to still donate. Is there a website or somewhere we can go to still donate, to still give to this awesome place? It's to KZUM.
Yeah, actually, in May, every year when we do the fundraiser in May, KZUM is part of the Give to Lincoln, where Lincoln, the city matches a percentage based upon what nonprofits raise. So we are actually be raising money for the entire month of May. So there's 2 ways that you could donate. You can go to kzum.org, and there's a donate button right on the screen. You can click and put in a donation, or you can call anytime at the studio, 402-474-5086 extension 1, and you can give a donation right over the phone in the name of any show that you want. I still, during that time, I was still pitch for the station, and I still actually raised money, more money than I did when I wasn't doing the benefit shows, now that I do the shows. And I think more people were aware of the show and aware of KZUM, because it's built a bigger following. There's a lot more people, I think, that are listening to KZUM overall, not just my show, but they've expanded out and started listening to other shows because there is so much diversity and difference in the programming versus listening to what's normally on the radio. So yeah, anything helps. You can donate anytime. Give to Lincoln, though, during May, we get a bigger piece of the pie if we make more money. So,
well, and Brooke, if you are nursing, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to have you at the show.
I was going to say one other thing. There's two musicians that bring their daughters. They're single fathers, and they bring their daughters down with them, and they have headphones, noise canceling headphones on, and those little girls dance around. They fist bump the bands and stuff, and they have a great time. So, but I agree with you. I live 40 minutes away from Lincoln. I have a family of my own. I work full time, so I don't make it out to every local show I can, but I'm at the benefit from the time it starts, actually in 2 hours before usually, or an hour and a half. And I'm there till the last band leaves the stage, both nights. And whenever I can, if I come out to do my show on a Friday night and there's a local band playing, I'll try and make it out to see them all I can. But you do have a good point, just because there are some people that just can't come out because they have things they're doing in life, or life happens. But it's just kind of sad, because there's a lot of great music. And having a radio show and being able to play the music, if somebody can't go out to see them live, they've got another avenue to hear the band. So,
Well, and like you were talking about, you do bring, I know a few musicians that'll bring their kids with the headphones, or even like I took my kids to a few shows that friends were playing when they were a little older. I mean, they're much older, but it opens up the doors for those kids to see live music. And I love seeing kids out there. I love it, no matter what age it is. And we're here with Scratch the Vinyl, like you are when you have a guest on your show and you want to get them out there and get to know who they are, so you can understand who they are. And it almost is a little more intimate as well.
All right, let's do the Elegant Sasquatch commercial right now. Let's talk about our sponsors. Let's do the local roundup. Let's do that whole thing that we do, the things that keep this show going and keep us partying all day and all night long. and giving you the best in podcast excellence. So let's run that Elegant Sasquatch commercial. The word on the street is that they have a new one coming up pretty soon. And then we will get into the local roundup because there is just a ton of stuff going on here in this town. We'll talk about some sponsors, and then we'll get back to it with our guest, Jon Kruse, the Metal Maniac from the Metal Manifesto show. Welcome to the Late Late Show with your host, Squatch.
Welcome to the show, everybody. We have a controversial guest tonight. He claims to have the world's smelliest beard and doesn't plan to do anything about it in the foreseeable future. Let's bring him on right now. He wants to be brought on by what he goes by on his socials, Toxic Beard 87.
Hey, calm down. Don't hate the smells if it sells.
Hello, my toxic friend. Let me ask you something. With brands like the Elegant Sasquatch Beard Company, why do you choose to smell like a rotten egg on Easter?
It all started when I was 16 years old. My beard was growing like a forest full of pine trees, and it was time for me to find a delicious scent to make Cindy Jo fall in love with me. I found a beard oil in a store, and I thought for sure she was going to be mine. I caked it on, and I was so proud of the way I smelled and how I looked. As soon as I saw Cindy Jo, I went running over to her, but instead of her embracing me and taking me in, she told me to go away and told me I smelled terrible. It was the worst day of my life. It was right then that I vowed that I would never put another product in my beard again. And so here I am, Toxic Beard Guy 87, and I'm not going anywhere.
Well, if I'd gone through that, it'd been tough for me to show my face again, too. But luckily, there's companies like the Elegant Sasquatch Beard Company that have multiple products that'll have girls like Cindy Jo melting in the palm of your hand.
Sasquatch, do you really think that there's a product for me?
Yes, my friend. There are beard balms, beard oils, beard butters, and beard washes that will make your whiskers the talk of the town. You'll be smelling like a dozen roses, and you'll be looking the best you've ever looked.
I would give anything to get Cindy Jo to talk to me just once again. Where can I get this amazing product?
Head on over to elegantsasquatchco.etsy.com and find yourself getting lost in the amount of items that they have to offer, including beard boxes as well, with the full line of some of their favorite products.
There's only one thing left to do. I'm going to go over to Etsy right now, and I'm going to buy as much product as I can, and I'm going to find Cindy Jo, and I'm going to win her over. Thanks again, Squatch.
You heard it here, folks. We changed his mind. Next on the show, we'll have a doll with an eating disorder. Then we'll have squirrels riding skateboards. Till then, head on over to Etsy right now. Tell them that the Scratch the Vinyl podcast sent you.
All right, party people, throw your hands in the air. Wave them like you just don't care. And let's get into it right now with the local roundup. All right, first off, let's start at Gray's Keg. Friday night, they've got Hellenbach, or is it Hellenbach? It's Helen, B-A-C-H, like Bach, so go see them. I've heard that they're great. They're on at 8:30. Saturday, they've got the Nebraska Junior Blues Band. No cover on that one, so no excuses. No cover, no excuses. Go see those guys. Let's move on over to the Corner Bar. The Corner Bar in the Rail Yard, where Long Wheels used to be, has a special treat for you guys. Friday night, 8 p.m., our very own, basically member of the group, member of our band, Richard Bretta, makes his triumphant return to the stage with his band, Bazooka Joe. Once again, they're going to be on at 8 p.m. They're doing 70s, 80s, and 90s rock. Don't miss that show. Bounce back and forth to them, to Gray's, and all over Lincoln. There's so much going on. So go see Richard, give him a high five, and tell him that Cain and Scratch the Vinyl sent you. Let's run on over to the Zoo Bar for a second. All right, so they've got Friday night for the FAC. They've got Layla and the Pacemakers. For the later show, they've got Chris Lager Band. Chris Lager has been hitting it hard for a long time and is a proven, warrior or something. All right, Saturday night at 5 p.m., they've got Sailing and Soup. At 9 p.m., they've got a boatload of bands. So let me try to read through this like a true professional would. First off, they've got Weaving Shadows, Hollow Citizens, Trillion Ton, Beryllian Ships, and Red Cities. That wasn't so hard. So there's a bunch of bands there on Saturday night. Go check those guys out. Also on Friday night, there's a debut of a show. I used to do a radio show with online with a guy named Rod Soriano. It was called Black Dirt Radio. Well, now Rod has moved over to 97.3 KDDP, and he's with the Black Dirt Experience. So Friday night, they're having Friday night live sessions, I believe once a month. And this Friday night from 8 to 12, they've got a boatload of great bands. So let's start with it. Andrew Stanley, who's been on the show, Allie and I, they'll be there, including Rico's Pass, Sunny B, and then Miser Me and The Company. It's a $10 show. It's 18 plus. They're raising funds for the new radio station. So go out there. It's 2645 O Street. There's plenty of parking on the side, so there's really no reason not to go there. You guys basically have like a nice line up and down O Street where you just need to like bar hop to all these places. There's your weekend for you right there. I know there's a lot of other stuff going on in Lincoln, but that's all the time I have. Now, let's get into our sponsors real quick. Let's talk about, first off, American Senior Benefits. Get a hold of Jason DeGosh. Ask for him personally and get set up with them. Sly Ink Tattoo. We know you're stockpiling all that tattoo money of yours, all that great tax money you've been hiding around for a rainy day. Well, now it's time. It's raining. It's pouring. Go over to Sly Ink Tattoo and get a tattoo with them. Roots Music Shop. You can also spend your tax money there, which I've done many years since they opened. So go there, get an instrument, get your instruments fixed. Go tell Ryan that Scratch the Vinyl sent you. Get yourself something cool from his shop. Last but not least, we have Backtrack Records. They're a new sponsor, and we're so glad to have them on board. Go over there. They just had Record Store Day last week, but now they have, I think they have a boatload of stuff probably still left over. They have a lot of great used and new albums over there. Go in there, get all of those vinyl records before I go in there and swoop it, scoop it, and take it to my house, much to my wife's dismay. So that's what we have for the local roundup, everybody. Now let's get back to it with our guest, the Metal Maniac himself, Jon Kruse.
My next little question is, we want to get to really know you. Do you play the banjo? Do you have an OnlyFans page? Are you in a band? Do you like mud wrestling? I mean, we want to know you. Like, let's get to know you a little bit. Let's hear some bullshit.
I do play with quotes, guitar and bass a little bit. We did actually have one of the benefits. We put together a cover band with me playing bass. I think it was AJ from Hosting Monsters. It was, I'm trying to think, the drummer at the time for Top Notch Defective, and Danny from D&D, who they were out of Omaha. He moved to California, and we did some covers like the Cars and stuff like that on stage for a half hour. Called it Curse. So we flipped the letters in my last name around and put an umlaut over the U. So, but as far as being in a band, I jammed with a couple friends for a little bit, but I've never really been that good. So I always joke that my love of music, the way that I can help support is by buying the music and supporting the bands by playing the music on the radio. I've always loved music. Knowing me, I've been married for 15 years now. Better do the math here really quick here so I don't get yelled at.
Say it was just like yesterday.
Well, 15 years we've been together. Been married. I have a 14-year-old daughter. Try not to do the math there. And a 13-year-old son. Well, he will be in June. And we live in Wilbur, Nebraska. And I work at Sam's Club. So, but my favorite, like I said, my favorite thing has always been music, and collecting is a big thing for me too. So I've been collecting music since since I first got my first Kiss record, ever since then, I was collecting, and probably towards the mid 90s, I really started building up my collection quite a bit. And so now it's fairly large. So,
Well, John, we can actually relate. That's kind of how we started this show was, we all had our different connections to music. And, Cain was in a band. I was one of those people just like you. I really couldn't play instruments very well. I didn't have a great vocal voice, but I loved the music so much. I promoted music. It was my way of keeping it alive, and I loved growing up going to live shows. I thought probably one of my favorite times as a kid was getting to go see, some of the biggest bands. And of course, Brooke spent, as she said, spent some time on the radio. So we kind of all have had our foot in the door with music, just not necessarily being able to be in a band. So, what you do is great. I mean, it just shows your love and passion for what you do, and you dedicate that time, and we couldn't appreciate that more, man.
appreciate that. Thank you.
I got to tell you guys a story quick. When I was hosting, which not only wasn't it was unbelievable to me that I got to pick all of the songs. So Lincoln got a lot more new metal, and what I mean by new metal is late '90s, early 2000s. I would say that my list was pretty heavy in that. So it was basically just me reliving all the deep cuts of all my favorite songs from when I was in high school, right? Yeah, so we're talking. I think we were actually doing a monologue at one point, and all of a sudden we look through the glass and we see the lights kick off, and we're like, okay, that's weird. It seems like we got power in here. And then all of a sudden the door kind of slowly inches open, and I'm talking like a ridiculous. And me being a paranormal investigator, I'm like, oh my god, KZUM is haunted. It's the Holy Grail. And then in pops in just Eric Wheeland, who was on the show. And I swear to you guys, he shot down my leg instantly. I probably, my heart stopped at least 3 times. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, appreciated that a lot. Yeah. He's a cool guy. It's like we could not figure out because the power's still going on and the show's still on the air. The board is still lit up. The lights on in the studio. Like, why would the lights go off there? And at first I thought it was so Rick Peters, who does Rock and Bones on Friday night, he joins me in the studio sometimes with a long blonde wig, calls himself Ricky Six. And I thought for sure it was him. And then just Eric showed up. So that was fun though. We had a good laugh and everything, but yeah, it's scared.
I wish you would have called. I wish you would have called me because I have a hide in your closet sometimes, Kane, and outside, and I just sit there and wait for you to let me in and like play with the squirrels and stuff and just stalk a little bit. I would have loved to have been there. I would have been honored to scare you.
Is that you always thumping around in my basement? I'm convinced that there is a ghost here.
Yes.
But I refuse to like do the paranormal investigation at my own house because like be careful what you wish for. But like that'd be so crazy if I pop the closet door open and you're like just sitting there with the skeleton on your lap or something.
It would be skeletons in the closet. Hey, could you take my skeleton? I need it to come out. And I do it quite often. Your wife knows about it. It's fine, but just don't ask her any questions because it's like Fight Club. So just be prepared. Next time you're on the radio station, I will be outside the window lurking in and knocking. Hello, can I come in?
Oh, you guys are welcome to come down sometime. And next time he comes in, if you guys want to join, it'd be nice to have you out there. So
Absolutely.
Well, you got to let him play, didn't you? Didn't you play one of your like a little bit of your music, Kane? On like
I got to play the 3 songs from my upcoming EP. So it was awesome, man, to have it all in the airways like that.
yes, because we heard and it's awesome. But is it posted somewhere so everybody can hear it again?
The next couple of weeks, right? For if you hit the archives.
You go to kzum.org/archives and then search the Metal Manifesto. So
Well, Cain is never much of a shameless promoter for himself, but I can almost just imagine how much of a kid in the candy store he was that night because, this is his genre and he's been working hard on putting out some new music. So we're really proud of him. And I'm glad you found a good outlet for a night, Cain.
You know that the only thing that it compares to, and I know nobody ever believes me on this, is I started talking to a guy in Venezuela who had a radio show at one point. He was playing like he was really into like just American music, and he had this strange show where he would like every week, kind of like what you're doing, he would play what they called Anglo, American songs. And so this guy highlighted me on his show a few years ago. And I thought, like, how cool is that, right? To be like my music's being played in Venezuela. They have no idea what the hell I'm saying or what I have going on, but the only connection there is music, right? And so when I usually tell this story, people are like, oh, yeah, I'm sure, right? Like, I'm sure you played you in. But I mean, to me, that was the biggest, aside from being on local radio. It sounds crazy, but that it's so huge to me. It's like there's no better thing than having people texting me that night and going, "Man, I heard your new song. I loved it. That was great." Like that feels fantastic.
Well, like John was saying, it's in a different language. There's no,
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you're saying. I think we found our kick. No.
Yeah, well, we've seen our analytics for our show, and shout out to our people in Germany and Sweden. And if you're still listening, that's awesome. But yeah, that's awesome, Cain, where you get that opportunity to get your music out to a greater audience, and that's again why we want everybody to support KZUM and promoting great music that you're not going to hear on mainstream all the time, and I think that's a good thing.
I think it's fantastic. I mean, I can't think of a better thing for the local scene and the community than to pump up these bands and also to play things that people have never heard on the radio before. I guarantee even that night, no one's ever heard some of the deep cuts that we played. I played a Limp Bizkit song. It's from their Leech demo, which made it onto $3 bills, y'all, which is their first album, major album. And I assure you that's never ever been played on radio, especially local radio, but it was fantastic for me as a Limp Bizkit connoisseur. I had to sneak that in there. So yeah, man, John, you really are doing you're doing something, and I know you probably tell yourself sometimes because we all do it. I do it with Scratch the Vinyl and everything. I tell myself, am I reaching anybody really? I know we are, but I'm like, what am I really doing? But you are, man. You're making a difference. One guest at a time, one song at a time. It really does make a difference, even with metal.
And you're so knowledgeable about it. And when you really enjoy something, I was talking to my kid about this, find something you enjoy and it won't be a job. And if you can get paid for something you enjoy, then keep going. And it's hard work, but like all your vinyls that you have collectors, I doubt you thought your first vinyl that you had, you're like, I'm going to be a DJ someday. And it just kind of manifested into that. Pretty right on.
It's it's been fun. The best part about KZUM is all this is volunteer. So I don't get paid to do the show. The benefits are all the money. Every cent we raise goes to the studio and into the station. So I actually was curious one time. So I had Sparky from The Blaze was on my show, and he co-hosted with me one time. And while we were playing music, I said, "Man, if I could do this for a job, I would love it." He goes, "Doesn't pay well." So,
But look how happy you are, though. I bet maybe your doctor bills are down a little bit because you're less
yeah,
stressed because you
no,
just love.
I love it. I mean, I do enjoy it a lot. I really do. It's just it's the worst part for me is getting done at 3 o'clock in the morning, having to drive home at 3 o'clock because since I live so far away, there's a lot of creatures in nature that are out that late at night that like to dart in front of your car. So, and I get tired. So, it's a rough thing, but honestly, I love doing it. There are some programmers that will pre-record their show, and I just can't do that. If I miss a show, I hate it. If I'm sick or it snows or we're going on vacation or something. I mean, it's tears me up because I got another week that I got to wait to do the show again. If I could get paid to do it, I would love to, but I don't know that I don't know that I'd be as happy doing the show because, as you said, when you were on a commercial station, I think they dictate to a certain level what you can play. And I know they wouldn't let me play 99% of the stuff that I play on my show. You know, I just enjoy it. And I do have, I got a call. You were talking about people, from another country or what. I got a call one night right after I started the show. I played Emperor, a black metal band, and the phone rang, and I had never gotten a call before. So I picked it up thinking it was going to be somebody complaining. This guy goes, "Am I really hearing black metal on the radio?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe." He and instantly sent me a friend request. So I mean, when people do find out about a show, I wear my shirts to work every day. I had this couple and their daughter came in to get a membership at work the other day, and she saw my Metal Manifesto shirt. She goes, "Do you like metal?" And she was a younger girl, and I said, "Yeah." I said, "I do a radio show." Really, she wanted to know what my favorite band is, which is a hard question to answer because with my collection, so it's hard to really pinpoint. So I told her Early Slayer is probably one of my favorite. And she said Metallica was her favorite. Master of Puppets was her favorite album. And so will you write down what station it is and everything? So about once a week, I get one person that comments on the shirts. And until they tell me I can't wear them to work anymore, I'm going to keep wearing them to promote it. Because I do have people that listen. I've got a couple listeners that listen in Japan whenever they can. A musician from Puerto Rico that listens every week. People from other parts of the country, a person that listens in Australia every week, somebody in Germany that listens every week. So I know they're out there. It's bad because I can't see who streams it later. Our old streaming site we were able to see who was streaming it. We can't see that anymore, but I do it because it's fun. And we had a good time. Except for when you tried to open your Mountain Dew bottle. Apparently he doesn't know how to open a Mountain Dew bottle without letting it spill out over himself. I don't know.
It's usually Sprite that's like of the worst sodas out there, right? That you open. I can tell you per capita because it happens to me every time. Sprite will spray everywhere. But yeah, he gives me one because I'm an idiot and I didn't bring something to drink. And I just started like a little kid. I just started unscrewing it like a moron and it just blasts everywhere. Thank God I had the thought to turn away from the equipment and everything. That would have been my biggest downfall there.
I don't know why I picture you like throwing it in the air and getting all wet. I'm like, yes. Yeah.
Dude, the equipment.
Yeah, you literally almost blew your chance to be a guest host when John's gone. It's like your dream volunteer job, Cain. What are you doing?
I even cleaned up after so there was some like antibacterial wipes there. So I wiped it up and I just felt like a moron. Like everything that I do in my life.
No, Cain, no. We are in a club together then. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, where I'm at. I will spill something, drop something, say something. It doesn't matter. And Randy, you've seen it. It's just, you've seen it. Yeah, we saw it. We're all in the same club.
Our fans know that you are our definite comic relief here.
And half the time I'm like, why did I just say that? Well, I'll just laugh and just pretend it was a joke when really I was serious. Just kidding.
So yeah, John, we'll loan you Brooke.
Yeah.
If you ever feel like your show needs a little comic relief to it, a little spice, we'll loan you Brooke for a night at the Metal Manifesto.
You have 3 hours of music to play, so start making your list.
Okay, I got plenty of that. I got so many people that love metal. I'm like, okay, guys, give me your list. We're gonna go play it. Give me your records. We're gonna go do stuff. I bet I could find a whole set. I could maybe 2.5 hours because I'm probably gonna be talking half of an hour, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. I thought about this. You guys have your fundraisers and everything to raise for the studio. Maybe we should have a really big because you're like a staple for music to get it out there. Why don't we have a fundraiser for all DJs that are just volunteering? And even if it's not if you can't give yourself money, but just like lasagna. Just kidding. But really, we got to have a damn fundraiser for all the DJs. I'm not kidding right there. I'll supply the lasagna.
Subscribe into your OnlyFans, Brooke. Where When are we getting that, by the way? When you're going to walk through Hamburger and all that different?
I'm waiting on.
This could be a metal video. Like we could make our own metal video with Brooke.
She's walking through me. Yeah, it'd be a good
Right.
video. Yeah.
Yeah, you should. I mean, legit, like it's called like Six Toes or something, you know, or I don't have six toes, but grandma.
Or that's just a good metal band name, you know, walking through meat.
Yeah, meat feet. Isn't that Cain? It's called meat feet. Yeah. And then you're just,
Or you like step on prime ribs and, you know, people tell you, you give them your exotic meats to walk through, but hamburger's always the best.
and if you want to squirt barbecue sauce all over it, you can.
Like always, the end of the show goes off the rails.
Yeah, we're going off the rails already.
Where's the dump button?
Yeah.
But John, that's how this goes. Look, it's already been an hour. We've been killing it. It's so good to have you on the show. And I love what you're doing. I spent quite a bit of time in the late 2000s promoting metal myself. And, the local scene was awesome for metal here in Lincoln. We've had some great guests on our show. You know, we've talked about that before, but I'm glad to see that every genre needs a niche or a venue to get their music out. And we're so glad you're providing that for those bands.
Thank you.
Well, everybody, this one flew by like it always does. This one, it just goes so fast. We so appreciate you, John. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you as a metal fan here in this town and somebody who you let play their music, even though it's not that metal. It was metal enough for that night. So
2 listeners came on and told me that they enjoyed your songs. So
hey, man, that's 2 listeners that I didn't have before, and I am so glad to have that, because sometimes you ask yourself when you put your music out in the ether if anybody's listening, and you're proof, my friend, that they are. So thank you so much for being on the show, and for the rest of the listeners out there, you guys need to tune in every week for another awesome episode of
Scratch the Vinyl.